Tracy.
Tracy.
So welcome everyone. I'm going to be chatting with you about allowing inner peace. So I work with, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kate. I know most of you in here. I work with Liquid Zen, and we offer the flotation therapy as well as meditation, and both of which help you find some inner Zen. There's no doubt about that. But from my experience, you can't float 24/7, so you need some other strategies in order to actually be able to find some inner peace. So what I'm actually going to share with you today is the things that I've found personally really helpful over the years as I've stumbled, and fumbled along, failed forward, so to speak, that hopefully you can take away and implement outside of here. So during the talk, it'll be a bit tricky with anyone who comes and goes, but there'll be, basically right from the beginning, there'll be exercises that I'll ask you questions and actually have you work through a process so that when you leave here, you've got some really practical grounded, you know how to apply it, and you've already applied it. So you don't have to, you can sit here and listen, but I would really encourage you to follow through with the exercises. Okay, everything's internal, so I'm not going to ask anyone to stand up or anything like that. So allowing inner peace. So it's very much a common human thing to do, is to want to avoid uncomfortable emotions and experiences and seek more pleasurable ones. Safe to say that's what we're all doing. The trick is that very habit in itself actually brings us closer to non-peace. Okay? So if we the very thing that we're actually avoiding keeps coming back up in our lives until we actually deal with it. Okay? So what I'll share with you is some strategies that you can apply, and that will actually, the result will be more inner peace in your life, because you can just allow things to be as they are instead of trying to control them in any way. So as the sages say, inner peace resides in all of us all the time. Okay? That in itself is quite profound. Okay? So if inner peace resides in all of us all the time, then the journey to inner peace is an inside job. We're not going to find it externally. Okay? A lady called Pema Chodron, I think she puts it beautifully. She says, "We access inner peace the moment we choose not to allow anyone or event outside of ourselves to control our emotions." Okay? So we'll start now in more of a practical sense. What I'd like to offer you to participate in is to pick something in your life that you've noticed come up a few times, maybe 5 or maybe 100 times, that repeats a few times in your life, that you get irritated or frustrated about. So it could be something as simple as someone in your house puts the toilet roll on back to front. They don't put it on how you put it on, yeah? So pick something small, not something that has steam coming out your ears, okay? Has everyone got something that resonates with?
How long have you got?
Just one small thing, Peter. One small thing. It could be that you hate waiting. It ticks you off to wait behind traffic. Whatever it is, but just make it small. Preferably as small as like putting the toilet roll on backwards. Okay. Because here's the question. So hold that situation in mind and ask yourself, am I willing to allow more peace around this without changing or manipulating anyone or anything outside of myself? Because any tiny little change that we make toward peace over time over a long period of time has massive change. Okay, so we're not talking about allowing an enormous amount, a lot more inner peace. I'm talking like an absolute fraction, like just the tiniest, like if peace is over here, just like, just sort of looking over at peace. Okay. For example, the power of this is, say for example, we leave Melbourne and we're travelling to London, okay? And the plane takes 1 degree change in direction, in the trajectory the plane's travelling. By the time it gets in the vicinity of England and Europe, it will be 281 kilometres away from London. So if in the heat of our moments, we can just make the slightest adjustment towards peace, over the next 40 years of our lives, it will make an enormous difference. Okay? So as we release these non-peace things in our lives, it actually frees up so much more time and energy for the things that we actually love to do, like creativity, relationships, looking after your health. Okay? It just, your whole world changes. Right? So what is allowing inner peace? It's about bringing more of your natural state, because it always resides within us, more of your natural state to the forefront. Okay? It's because it's always there, it's just sometimes a little clouded over. Think of it this way, that the sun is always there, even on a cloudy, wet Launceston day. The sun is always there. Okay? So is the inner peace. Just bringing that to the forefront. So what I'm going to share with you is 3 strategies, and we're going to dive back into the toilet paper situation, or your own personal version of the toilet paper situation on each step, or each strategy. I'm going to share with you 3 strategies. The key thing to keep in mind is that the first strategy is like a foundational strategy, so it always comes first. The second and third strategies can just be done independently, or they can be done in either way, like 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 2, whatever combination you like. You've got to do the first one first. So strategy 1 is acknowledging what you're experiencing. Okay? Because if we don't acknowledge what we're experiencing, the same thing will keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up. A friend a few years ago said to me, he said, first you get hit with a feather, then you get hit with a stick, then you get hit with a truck. Okay? So if we don't listen, it keeps repeating. Right? Until the pain gets too great, and we've got cancer, or something major crisis has happened in our lives. Okay? So when we acknowledge what we're experiencing, then we've got a much greater capacity to actually make change around that. Carl Jung says, what we resist persists. Okay? So acknowledging what you're experiencing is definitely the first step in moving forward. Personally, for me, I would say that in my journey towards inner peace, awareness has been 90% of the journey. So acknowledging what I'm experiencing then actually brings the power back into my own hands, where then I can respond rather than react to things around me. So it's a very, very, that's what's the foundational step, because it's sort of 90% of the journey, really. So bring yourself back to your situation, the toilet paper one, just bring yourself back to that same situation, and just sit with that for a moment. Notice what's going on in your head, and what's happening within you when you think about that situation. And I want you just to acknowledge what it is that you're experiencing. Okay? So it might be like, I'm worried, or I'm exhausted, or like just whatever's, I'm angry. Yeah. And just acknowledge what it is. because even the simple act of acknowledging, you may even notice within your body and within your mind that the simple act of acknowledging actually begins to shift things energetically. Okay? So we're going to pick back up on what you've just acknowledged in strategy 2, in a few minutes. Are there any questions about acknowledging what you're experiencing before we move on to the second strategy? No? Okay. So the second strategy is self-inquiry. So I see self-inquiry a bit like weeding the garden. Okay. When you weed the garden, you can either nip the weeds off at the top and they'll go back in a couple of days, they'll resprout, or you can pull them out of the roots. They probably won't come back for a week or so. We can actually get in the garden and dig it up and they don't come back for quite a while. But you don't ever just weed the garden once, do you? No, because sometimes your neighbour grows a heap thistles and seeds below it, and you can't keep in the garden. Okay? So be very gentle with yourself as you weed your own garden. Persist and be gentle. Okay? Self-inquiry is really getting it to the roots, or to the root cause, so that we can actually heal. Okay, that's what is happening when we get to the, because I don't know if any of you just heard Joe's talk, but you actually heal inside when you get to the root of the situation. So what is self-inquiry? It's about asking yourself high quality questions, because the quality of your life depends upon the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Okay? Sorry?
And asking the right question.
And here's the question. So I'd like you to bring yourself back to your situation that you brought up, okay? And ask yourself, what is the unmet need here? Okay, I'll repeat that. What is the unmet need here? So that could be, Peter's looking at me like, what do you mean by unmet need? So for an example of an unmet need, it might be, I need help, or I need to be heard. Okay, so it's not, it's very much a felt sense. And so when you ask yourself what the unmet need is, sometimes there's a little layers, because often when you start off, it's the head, that the ego just flicks out a few things, yeah, but it's much deeper than that. It's nearly like as you practice this over time, it's like you're actually reaching deep into your heart or to the inner child within you and asking yourself with an ever so gentle, kind and loving way what the unmet need is. Okay? So I'd encourage you to just, inquire right now within you as to what your unmet need is around your example of the toilet paper, around the toilet paper. And just sit with that. I'll just give you a moment to sit with that. So what is the unmet need here? Any questions? Because we're going to once again go even deeper on the strategy 3. Are there any questions around self-inquiry and asking that question? No? Peter, you look like you're going to say something. No? Is everyone following? Everyone's got something in mind? Yeah, well, hopefully in this mind, not in this mind. That's okay. So strategy 3 is what I call pivoting towards peace. Okay? So we tend to live in this day and age very busy lives. And on top of that, we are loaded up with expectations of ourselves. We're loaded up with trying to control and resist things and like negative self-talk. So there's often not much inner peace going on within each of us at too many moments. So if we want to pivot towards peace and not be swamped by these non-peace, when we choose, when we actually choose to pivot towards peace and not be swamped by all these non-peace emotions and things coming up, then an entire plethora of other states arise within us that become our new reality. Okay? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It does happen. It does happen. So what is pivoting towards peace? It's when we hold our non-peace state and our slightly pivoted towards peace state in our awareness at exactly the same time. Do you want me to repeat that at all? Yeah? Okay. So it's when we hold, we're going to do an exercise with our hands in a minute, which you'll understand, then we're going to actually do one with our toilet roll exam. It's when we hold our non-peace state, so whatever you're feeling around your toilet roll, and you're pivoting towards peace state, which we're going to cover in a minute, in your awareness at the same time. So it's like having one hand in cold water, one hand in hot water, and being able to just go, oh yeah, I can feel both of them at the same time. Yeah? Actually, that's a really good example. We're actually going to do an exercise now. Okay, so with the hands, just put both hands out in front of you, and I want you to bring all your attention to your left hand. Okay? And I want you to notice, you might find it easier to close your eyes if you're kinesthetic like me. Notice the sensations in your left hand. Like they might be warm, it might be clammy. You might notice that your fingernails feel heavy, like it could be anything, it could be prickly, whatever's going on. Just notice the sensations in your left hand. And then I want you to bring your attention gently across to your right hand and notice the sensations in your right hand. They may be quite similar or they might be different. Can everyone feel sensations in their right hand? Yeah? Now I want you to close the fist, close your left hand into a fist, quite tight, and bring your attention into both hands. So you're noticing the tension in your left hand and the relaxation in your right hand. And just notice both at once. Okay. Great, you can release. And just open your eyes and relax. Is there anyone who couldn't get that? Everyone's good with that? Yeah? You can notice different sensations in each hand at the same time? No? Do you want to give it another crack? Like, could you notice the tension in one hand, the strain, like it's sort of in your mind's eye, you know, like it's not a thought, it's more an observation of that you can feel tension in this hand and whatever sensations in this hand at the same time.
I didn't feel any difference.
Even though this one's clenched tight?
Yeah.
And the right hand's, can you feel any sensations in your right hand? Maybe wiggle your fingers, okay, so wiggle your fingers in your right hand and tense in your left. Keep wiggling your fingers so you notice movement. You notice tension and movement at the same time. Keep wiggling them. Yeah?
I'm trying hard, but I can't.
Okay. We'll see how we go with this example. Okay. So now I want you to just take a moment to think about your non-peace toilet roll stuff, where you're at with that, and just for a moment, if you were to pivot towards peace, what would that be? Okay, and I want you to bring that up in your mind, in your felt sense, in your body. So just go into that state now. If you were just to pivot toward peace, and just a smidgen, a fraction, what would that state feel like and be like in your body? So it might be like this gentle, oh yeah, I could be okay with that, or maybe I could turn the corners of my mouth up and just smile at that, just gently, like whatever it is for you. So if you go into that state now, because this is where we're going to bring the two states, the peace and the non-peace together. So go into your peaceful state now, and then bring into your awareness the non-peace state, and notice them both at the same time. Both simultaneously at the same time. They will change. Yeah? Just notice them change. Yeah? You do that? Yeah, great. So when, in practical terms, doing that sort of exercise, holding the non-peace and the peace in the awareness at the same time, sometimes it can take, like for me, it can take me 20 minutes or half an hour to be able to sit with those things at the same time. So it's definitely, you build a muscle around it. Okay, it's not necessarily something you can get like that. But the capacity, when you can, if we put this into very practical senses outside, if you're sitting at the traffic light and you're usually agitated, and if you can just move toward peace and go, even that, or okay, it's red, like just slight motion towards peace, and observe those, it will change. That is the magic, because then over time you're not reacting to the traffic light.
Creating like a little space where you can choose your.
So you can choose your response rather than react. Okay, it's exactly what it is. If you're holding both.
That time seems more. I think is that what you.
Okay.
So the one thing is that with that ever so smidgen, and that we can be very egoic and righteous, and like, no, that's got to change. Like where it's very, we get a lot of resistance to accepting something and want something else or someone else to change, right? So assume that they're not going to change or the situation's not going to change, but you're still going to just slightly, just a smidgen, change your trajectory towards peace, okay, or even, anything that turns you half a degree or 5 degrees, whatever it is, towards peace, sit with both of them. They cannot not change.
And once you move your normality position, that becomes your normal.
Oh, and you collect your
And
world.
so every time you move, you shift there.
Yeah.
That becomes your normal life.
Yeah.
It's easier and easier.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Can you use it to? Okay, so this whole thing is about not trying to change anyone else, or okay.
We're changing nothing or anyone
get that
outside of
straight,
ourselves.
yeah.
Nothing. Okay, so that first question is the question. Am I willing to allow a little more peace around this without changing anyone, or without changing or manipulating anyone or anything outside of myself?
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay?
I got to feel that.
So the three strategies, the first foundational one is acknowledging what you're experiencing. If you don't acknowledge what you're experiencing, your whole life will stay on repeat, and it will always be around just a couple of things, okay? Because there are a couple of things within us that we've stored and blocked for years. And when we can hold those two emotions simultaneously at the same time, we are unravelling the blocked emotions within us. It is uncomfortable, and that's okay.
Well, it's uncomfortable because you want to always go and influence or change the
That's
other
exactly
people
right.
to get you the next.
That's right. So acknowledging what you're experiencing is the foundation. That in itself is 90% of the journey, because when you know what you're experiencing, you can't unknow it. You can't avoid it then. So then you'll just keep getting little knocks at the door. Are you ever going to listen? You know, because you can't unknow what you
I
know.
think I know what I'm experiencing. Where I'm stuck is trying not to split whatever I'm experiencing and projecting on. Well, I've got one situation that is repeating itself all the time. But it's about, like you're saying, not influence or changing other people. So I'm invested in trying to.
You'll never win. If you're at war, you'll always be at war.
Yeah. So I am always at. That's the whole thing. I am always at war.
Yeah.
It's not. I know what.
Yeah. If you can use these three strategies and sit with it ever so slightly, smidge, turning towards peace at any moment, that you can be aware enough to, your trajectory will change, your world will change. It will change, and it's not going, like it's weeding the garden. You've got to keep weeding the garden, but by crikey, after a few years you'll have a beautiful rose garden.
Still a few pricks in there. But.
Yeah, that's right. But the thing with being able to hold the non-peace and the peace at the same time, you never need to change anything. Yeah. And I suppose this has got nothing to do with it, but it's just come up for me, is to keep in mind and know that the universe is always conspiring to support us. Yeah. So even when we, end up having to, have back surgery or something like that, the universe is actually trying to teach us something. Mm-hmm. So we're always being supported. Yeah. Any more questions around step 3? Or step strategy, because it's strategy 3.
What was strategy 3? I heard it and then I had to go.
Yeah, that's pivoting towards peace.
Pivoting.
So the first one is acknowledging what you're experiencing, and that's like 90% of the journey. Second one is self-inquiry, what is my unmet need here? And the third one is pivoting towards peace, because if you do that over time and distance, you will be in a very different place. Okay. So any questions with any of those steps before I have a little closing? All good? Yeah. Shaquelle has been here filming this, so we'll put some sort of version of this if you ever want to access back to it on our website. So it'll be under the reading. If you go to liquidzen.com.au and then to the reading part, which I don't know where it is, but yeah. And also, in order to help you progress along your path towards some inner peace, we're giving out complimentary 5-session passes to meditation sessions, so 5 free meditation sessions with us at Liquid Zen. So you just need to grab one of these cards off myself or someone at the front counter, anyone wearing one of these actually, if you'd like to join us for those. And I was going to share with you a closing it's not really a quote, but it's something we read the other day, and it's from Adyashanti, who's a spiritual teacher, and I think this sums it up perfectly. He says, it's not about perfection, it's about wholeness. It's not about having things as exactly as we want them to be, but having them as exactly as they are. When we allow things to be, a sense of harmony develops. Thank you all for coming. I hope that you can apply some of that. Beautiful. And yeah, if you want one of these, just
Yes, please.
yeah. Thank you.